All right. Hey, everyone. Ready for another deep dive? Today, we're tackling something a lot of you have been asking about, how to connect better with women and maybe avoid some of those little mistakes that can totally kill the vibe. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, those subtle things we might not even realize we're doing.
Exactly. So we're dissecting this article called Five Things You're Saying That Turn Women Off and You Don't Even Know It. And hold on, before you think this is all about pickup lines or something, it's actually about the psychology behind attraction, like what works and what totally doesn't.
Yeah, it gets into those unspoken signals we send without even thinking about it. Fascinating stuff.
Okay, so first up, and this one surprised me, the article says that over-complimenting a woman's appearance can actually backfire. I mean, you'd think compliments are always good, right?
Hmm.
Shower 'em with praise.
You would think so, but, well, imagine you're a woman hearing the same generic compliments about your looks over and over. It starts to feel less genuine, you know?
Like you're being reduced to just your appearance.
Exactly. It's almost like you're not seeing her as a whole person with all her unique qualities and personality.
Makes sense. Especially if she's someone who gets a lot of attention from guys. Those compliments just blend in, right?
They do. And they don't really tell her anything special about you either.
So instead of the typical "you're so gorgeous" line, the article gives an example like, "I like your sense of humor. It's sharp but not too harsh." Something like that.
Now that's more interesting. It shows you're paying attention to something beyond just her looks, and honestly, it probably makes her want to know more about you.
It sparks that curiosity, like, what else does this guy notice?
Okay, so another surprising one. The article says starting a conversation with an apology can be a turnoff. I'm guilty of this. Sorry to bother you, that kind of thing.
It seems polite on the surface, right? But it can accidentally send a message that you lack confidence.
Really? Just from saying sorry.
Yeah, think about it. You're basically saying you don't feel entitled to even talk to her.
So even a small sorry can give the wrong impression right from the start. Subconsciously, yeah. Women are generally more attracted to men who believe in themselves and what they bring to the table, you know?
So what would be a better way to approach someone if you're not supposed to apologize?
Skip the apology and go in with more confidence. Instead of sorry to bother you, how about something like, hey, I noticed something interesting about you. And then share your observations, something specific, maybe about her style or what she's reading, anything that caught your eye.
I like that. It gets her attention and starts the conversation right away instead of asking for permission to talk to her.
Exactly. It subtly shifts the dynamic. Okay, now this next one, I think a lot of guys have been guilty of this one at some point.
Okay, hit me with it. What is it?
Forcing women to carry the conversation. You've seen this, right?
Yeah.
The guy who just walks up and says, hey, and then nothing, just stands there.
Oh, yeah. Talk about awkward silence. I can feel the cringe already.
Right. It puts all the pressure on her to figure out what to say next. And honestly, it makes the guy look a bit clueless.
Who wants to do all the work? Especially with someone they literally just met.
No one, right. The article emphasizes using conversation starters that have built-in engagement. Give her something to respond to.
So instead of that dead-end, hey, they have an example like, you look like someone who's mastered the art of picking the perfect playlist. What's your go-to song right now?
That's so much better. It's playful, it's specific, and it subtly complements her taste without focusing on her appearance.
It makes her want to reply, right? Like the conversation can actually go somewhere.
Exactly. It creates that natural back and forth. Okay, this next one might surprise you.
Lay it on me. I'm ready. What is it?
Being careful with excessive approval, like those guys who are constantly saying, that's amazing, or wow, that's so cool, to everything a woman says.
I can picture that. Seems harmless enough, though. Is it really a problem?
Think about it. If someone agrees with everything you say, it starts to feel less genuine, right? Like they're just trying too hard.
So it comes off as inauthentic.
Yeah.
Maybe even a little desperate for approval.
Exactly. It's like you don't have your own opinions. The article suggests finding a balance. Instead of just agreeing all the time, try mixing in some playful teasing or genuine curiosity. Show her you're actually listening.
Okay, so instead of showering her with praise nonstop,
Yeah.
you keep her on her toes a bit.
Right, like the example they give if she says she's learning to cook. Instead of just saying, wow, that's awesome, you could ask, all right, what's the best dish you've made so far? And what's the disaster you're still trying to forget? Something like that.
Huh, I like that. It's playful, it shows you're listening, and it gets her to tell a story, which is always good for connecting.
Exactly. Now, this last one, it's subtle, but really important. It's about the way we express interest.
Okay, I'm all ears. What is it?
It's the difference between hesitantly asking, would you maybe like to go out sometime? Versus saying something more confident like, let's grab a drink this weekend. I know a place you'll love.
Ah, I see the difference. One is kind of asking for permission, while the other is more direct, like you're already assuming a connection.
Exactly. And women tend to respond better to that confident, direct approach. It shows you're sure of yourself.
So it's not about being demanding, it's about being clear and convicted in your interest.
That's the key. It shows you're comfortable taking the lead.
I'm noticing a theme here. It's about being confident, genuine, and treating women like interesting individuals instead of just someone you're trying to impress.
You got it. And that brings us to a concept the article calls the importance of balance. But before we get into that, I'm curious, what stood out to you the most so far?
It's amazing how much those little things matter, you know? Like we're sending these signals without even realizing it.
It's all about that under-the-surface message we're putting out there, and it actually leads right into the next thing from the article, this idea of balance.
Okay, balance, I'm listening. What's that all about?
So the article says we should avoid constantly trying to please or agree with everything a woman says.
Really? I thought being agreeable was a good thing.
It can be, to a point. But think about it. If someone just agrees with everything you say, it gets kind of boring, right? A little bit of playful pushback, even a little teasing, that can actually be attractive.
So it's not about being a jerk, it's about having a backbone, like showing you have your own opinion.
Exactly. If you just agree with everything, it's like you're saying, I'll be whatever you want me to be. Not exactly a turn on.
It's like, hey, I see you, I hear you, but I'm not just going to be a yes man.
Right. You're engaging with her. You're not just trying to win her approval. The article gives this example, like if a woman says she loves running marathons, instead of just saying, wow, that's amazing, you did see something like, marathons, huh? You mean you actually enjoy running for hours on end? That's some serious dedication right there.
I like that. It's a compliment, but with a little twist, keeps things interesting.
Exactly. And it injects a little humor, which is always good.
Ooh.
Okay, now shifting gears a bit, the article also talks about nonverbal communication.
Oh yeah, body language. I've heard that we communicate more through our body language than our actual words. Is that true?
There's a lot of truth to that. Our facial expressions, our posture, eye contact, even our tone of voice, all of that sends a message.
So what are some of those nonverbal things people do, especially when they're nervous, that can send the wrong signals?
Well, the article mentions things like talking too fast, nervous laughter, avoiding eye contact, all that kind of stuff. It basically screams, I'm not confident.
When we're nervous, our body just kind of betrays us.
Yeah.
Right? But the good news is we can learn to be more aware of that and change it, right?
Absolutely. The article has some great tips. Slow down your speech, use pauses for emphasis, maintain eye contact, relax your posture. All of that helps project confidence.
It sounds simple enough, but I bet it takes practice to unlearn those bad habits.
It does. But honestly, when you project confidence through your body language, it not only makes you more attractive to others, it actually helps you feel more confident too.
It's like a positive feedback loop. You look confident, so you feel confident, and it just keeps building.
Exactly. Now, before we move on to the last concept from the article, what about this nonverbal stuff stood out to you?
You know what really struck me? It's that even when we're trying to act confident, our body language can totally give us away, like our subconscious is sending a different message.
That's a really great point. And it leads us to this powerful idea that the article calls detaching from the outcome.
Yeah, it's like we have to retrain our body language, almost like learning a new skill.
It is, and it ties in with this detaching from the outcome thing, which the article says is huge for attraction.
Okay, I'm all ears. Detaching from the outcome, what's that all about?
So it means shifting your mindset from like desperation to just being curious and open. When you're too focused on getting a specific result, like a phone number or whatever, it creates this neediness, and that's a total turnoff.
So instead of going in with a goal, you just focus on connecting with the person.
Right. Be present. Enjoy the conversation. Let things happen organically. It takes the pressure off both of you.
It's like that saying, just be yourself, right? When you're not trying to force anything, your real personality comes out.
Exactly. Authenticity is magnetic. People are drawn to that.
So we've covered a lot. Those conversational traps, balance, body language, and now detaching from the outcome. It's clear that attraction is about way more than just saying the right things.
It really is. The article touches on this, saying it's about developing qualities that draw people in. It's about becoming the best version of yourself.
So what are some of those qualities that we can work on, to become more attractive?
Well, the article doesn't give a magic formula, and I think that's good. It's not about following a set of rules or pretending to be someone you're not.
It's an individual journey.
Totally. Figure out your strengths, work on your weaknesses, and get comfortable with who you are,
Are there any, like, universal principles that could apply to most people, though?
For sure. We've already talked about confidence. That's huge. But it's not arrogance. It's about self-worth, believing in yourself.
That's easier said than done for a lot of people. Any advice on how to actually build that confidence?
It often comes down to stepping outside your comfort zone, trying new things, pushing yourself a little. The more you achieve, the more confident you become.
And probably being okay with messing up sometimes, too, right?
Yeah,
Nobody's perfect.
exactly. In fact, being able to laugh at yourself is super attractive. People like that. It shows you're down to earth.
So confidence is key. What else?
Authenticity. We talked about that earlier. Be genuine. Let your personality shine through.
Show the world who you really are. No masks, no pretending.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to be a little vulnerable. Vulnerability can be powerful. It builds trust and intimacy.
This has been so eye-opening. Attraction is so much deeper than I thought. It's about who you are at your core.
I agree. It's about those inner qualities that make you compelling.
So to wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you'd tell our listeners to take away from all this?
I'd say focus on becoming the best version of yourself. Build your confidence, be authentic, and approach interactions with genuine curiosity and openness. The rest will fall into place.
That's great advice. And honestly, I think it applies to way more than just romantic stuff. It's about how we connect with people in general.
Absolutely.
All right, everyone, that's our deep dive into the subtle art of attraction. We hope you got some good takeaways and are feeling inspired to put this stuff into practice.
And remember, self-improvement is a journey. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep exploring what it means to be your most authentic self.
Until next time, keep diving deep.